Let me ask you this. Nobody said AJ Debonsa, and I feel like AJ probably is the guy in this draft with the biggest profile. He's probably the most well-known guy. He's the one that's gonna, we all talked about how much money Cooper Flag made last year. We all saw the reports for what the market was for AJ Debonsa. I would hazard a guess he's probably going to be the highest paid guy in college basketball this year. And none of you guys pegged him as the number one overall pick. Metcalf, I'll start with you on this one. I'll let you be the biggest hater here. First, got to drop some hate.
That's going around today.
Yeah, I know, right? How come we haven't heard AJ's name when it comes to for all three of you guys? But Tyler, you start. Why not AJ? How come he's not the number
Well,
one?
because we clearly all have an agenda and hate him. No, but I really struggled with his senior film. And it felt a lot like senioritis, where he was just trying to get through the season, and get to BYU. And it felt a lot like Paolo Banchero's senior season in high school, where the shot selection was kind of rough. The shooting efficiency was even worse. He's never been a great shooter. I love the volume. I love the difficulty and the variety and stuff of his attempts, but the results have just never really been there, at least consistently. And then you saw what he did in FIBA, and he shot like 11% from the floor, or from three. Not
Small
ideal
sample.
stuff. Okay, well, when
It's
you
like
compare it
17
to
shots.
4 years at 32% from three, not ideal. Give or take a couple percentage points here or there. But I'm almost like having to rethink him as a player, I think, because what I saw from him defensively this year, I was really, really encouraged by. And at his size, the way that he continues to improve on that end of the floor with his fundamentals, sitting down in his defensive stance, defending with an attitude and intention and excitement. I'm like, oh, should the selling point on this guy be more so that he could be a truly elite defender with a way above average offensive skills? And then if you're getting that, it's like, well, who cares if he's just kind of an okay shooter? Because now you're getting a guy who's improved as a playmaker, who can get downhill, get that to whatever spot he wants, draws a ton of fouls. So I'm just really excited to see what he looks like in this BYU system, and how he kind of directs who he wants to be as a player. Because I think if he really commits to that defensive end, I think he could be maybe the best defender in this class.
Corey?
So, man, it's been an up and down battle, but I think AJ's actually getting underrated at this point, because it feels like the narrative is that like it's those two guys and then AJ, a sentiment that I kind of share. But he can easily come out of the gates and just 180 that conversation. I remember seeing he played in 2024 for the world team at the Nike Hoop Summit, and getting to see him like practice behind the scenes. I thought he was playing hard. He was being a leader. He showed his personality, and it's infectious, obviously his skills and whatnot. And you were like, man, this dude kind of looks like a Tracy McGrady kind of prospect, and I'm okay saying these big names because we're talking about this class, that it's this special class. Well, you got to say these big time names if we think it's special. If it's not, then we got to temper that. And I was excited to see him through his senior year carry on what we saw during his junior year. Then we get to like this, his senior year at Utah Prep, obviously a lot of the things that Tyler mirrored. Then we saw him at the Hoop Summit. I saw him at the McDonald's game in person. And the behind the scenes stuff is kind of what got me a little bit worried, because it did feel like Tyler said, like senioritis. And to me, like if you're the dude, if he's going to carry himself like I'm the man, I'm the number one guy, then he's got to be a leader from the time that he takes his slides off and puts his shoes on to the time he leaves the gym. Like if you're the dude, you're the dude. That's what makes greats the greats. They push everybody at every moment they're on the floor. And I just didn't see like those same intangible qualities. It's not a question of skills, because he's got a better frame, right? And he's just as talented as Darren Peterson is. He is the prototypical like superstar wing as far as measurables and talent goes. To me, it's all going to come down to like, what is he like in the huddle? What is he going to be like at practice? Like, is he going to push guys? Is he going to want to get every inch of that potential to maximize? Or does he have one foot out the door and he's ready to be, an NBA player? Who are we going to see? Because I think that matters when you're talking about tippy top tier greats.
So I think it's an interesting conversation to have. And it's the hardest part, I think, of evaluating one and done prospects in this era, in the sense that there's no you don't have any built-in history with the places that you're at right now when you're hopping from pop-up prep school to pop-up prep school when you're kind of chasing the paycheck, right? And that's what AJ is doing right now. That's how he's been moving the last couple of years. And I get it, man. The amount of money that's available for a lot of these kids to get, that's how you have to operate. Doesn't make financial sense to do anything else. You know, if he blows out both Achilles tendons 3 times in the next 18 months, right? He's still probably going to be set
Mhm.
for life as long as he's smart with his money. That's what he's made.
If it makes
And
dollars, it makes sense.
yeah, exactly. And so it's hard for me to judge a 17 or 18-year-old for senioritis when there's no emotional attachment to the place that he is playing. And the comp that I would give is something like an Anthony Edwards. I think that's kind of what we saw from Ant-Man his freshman year at Georgia. And it was like, does this dude care? Like, he's got all the talent in the world, but does he actually care? And then he gets to Minnesota, to a place where he knows he's going to be for probably 9 years at minimum, right? When you're the number one pick, you go somewhere, you're going to be there for 9 years if you're good enough, if they want you. And you see a completely different dude because he's locked in and he's got a place where he can kind of build those emotional attachments. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like that's what, and you won't know if that's what AJ is until you actually get AJ. Like, that's, you're never going to be able to determine that based off of a Rucker, off of a evaluation, watching game tape or watching the kid in the practice like that. You got to know the kid. That's where the interviews come in. That's where doing your background research comes in, right? And to me, I love what you said, Corey, because I do think at this point AJ is underrated. Because if he hits the ceiling,
Yeah.
I love what you guys see with Darren. And I get it with Cam Boozer, right? Like, he is the most productive. I would make the argument the most successful and most accomplished prep basketball player that we have ever seen. But I mean, AJ's talent, man. Like, he's 6'10", he gets wherever he wants. He can guard the way that you want him to guard. He's a shot man. That is just that's one of one territory that you're talking about with AJ.
Yeah, I think he's got the highest potential in this class. It's not even close, in my opinion. There's just, with that high potential, there's still unanswered questions. And Corey put it out perfectly. We got to see him 2 years in person in a great setting with Nike Hoop Summit. I was lucky enough to be kind of formatted that way. Junior year to senior year, it was completely night and day difference. Like, a senior year, I was waiting to see him, and I was like, man, he's going to be awesome this week. And it just looked like a guy that was probably tired from all the events he's been at, and then also probably just ready to get to BYU. That's fine.
He was good in the game, though. We have to say he was very good in the game.
Good. But it's personally, like, I love watching film. We all do it. No ceilings. I hate senior top prospect high school film because they're ready for the next step. They're the guy.
Mm-hmm.
They're working on stuff. I thought when Metcalf did a piece on our website at noceilingsnba.com and he compared him to Big Carroll, I was like, yes, that's exactly how I felt. Where it's like, they're putting up numbers, but they're trying stuff that you're like, okay, you're just going through the motions. You're ready. And junior year, when we saw him at Nike Hoop Summit, this was with, Cooper Flagg, all those guys were there. I was like, oh my goodness, look at this kid. He is a monster. And scouts around there were like, hey, let's talk about AJ though. Like, they were more intrigued and excited about AJ. So I have questions about the shot. I think it'll come around. His talent is unbelievable. And the defense is really, like, I echo what Metcalf says. The defense, man, he's got tools there to be scary defensively. So I think it could be a couple weeks into the season where we're like, what were we overthinking with AJ? He is a monster. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking too much of the senior year into consideration because I'm just like, I get it. Some of these guys are just like, hey, I'm dominating down here. Let's get to the next level.
And he's playing in an awesome context too at BYU with an incredible coach who actually knows how to coach these prospects at a pro level, and some really talented players.
And like we all mentioned multiple times that how underwhelming he was at Hoop Summit, but then basically every NBA person I talked to there, I was like, man, AJ's kind of sucked this week, huh? And they're like, yeah, this is underwhelming. I'm like, do you think he's could fall at all? It's like, oh no, he's still easily one for me right now. So they're taking it all with a grain of salt too. And it's like, well, all right, let's see what he looks like when the chips are on the table and at BYU with that floor spacing, with the high powered offensive stuff we saw from them last year, because he has a really, really good opportunity to shine. And just, it wouldn't shock me if, like these guys said, a month from now, it's like, oh yeah, no, he's one with a bullet.
Yeah, you put a bunch of shooting around a guy who's as good at getting to a spot and drawing a foul as
Yeah.
anybody that we've seen. It's like that he's going to average like 23 a game. and probably 10
Points or
free
free
throws a game
throws?
or something like that. Yeah, all the above. All the
He's
above.
so
Well, you
good at
already
that.
told me he
Yeah,
can't make a
he's so
jump
good at
shot,
that.
so if it's going to be free throws or layups, right?
No, but it's funny you bring that up because I brought that up to Metcalf about the FIBA play. I said he is become an expert at how to get a whistle, how to get a foul. Like
It's so good.
it's such a. I hate watching it on tape because I'm like, gosh, man, you're just getting fouled nonstop. But he's so good at baiting you right now. He's got that superstar whistle down already, so he knows how to use his length. It's just can the rest of the tools come around quickly, and it's a special talent.
But then you put him in positions where there are shooters around him and rim
Right.
runners, and the defense can't just double or triple team him every time. It's like, all right, good luck defending this dude one-on-one.